Yeah, he's heard. He's had to put a face to the stories he's already heard.
Good evening, everybody. We call this meeting of the Wendell Board of Commissioners to order. Welcome everyone for being here. We have a nice full house tonight. That's always nice. Thank you for being with us tonight. I ask Police Chief Bill Carter to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Our invocation tonight is Reverend Tom Hill, the Wendell Christian Church. Step right up here. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor Gray. We could all go to our gracious God in prayer. Wonderful and gracious God, we thank you first of all for this beautiful day, a day in which we celebrate life which is truly a precious gift to each and every one of us. We celebrate the lives that touch our lives each and every day as well. I ask a very special blessing upon the leaders of this community tonight, that as they serve the people who have chosen them to serve them, that they do so with your direction, your guidance, your love, your compassion, your understanding. And we know that in all things, gracious God, that if we bring them all to you, you will be there with us and for us. Continue to bless everyone here this evening for this meeting, and to bless these leaders of this community as well. In the name of the one whose presence is here with us, alive and well today, we ask this prayer. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Do we have any adjustments to the agenda? A motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor?
All right.
All right, we have two signed up for public comment period. We'll just remind everybody, since it's still kind of new, when you step up to the podium, the green light will start. You have 3 minutes. A yellow light will indicate that you're about to run out of time, and red means you're out of time. Our first person to speak tonight is Mary Moser. Good evening. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Have something else? Yes, ma'am. Be great. Thank you. State your name and address for me.
Mary Moser, 1601 Marshburn Road, Wendell, North Carolina. Madam Mayor and Board of Commissioners, I would appreciate the opportunity to speak to the following points. First, my thanks to the board and also to the planning staff for a thoughtful and balanced addition to the UDO relative to outdoor venues. Second, I noticed for the first time in the June the 12th meeting, I heard you all express your concept of a festival. No tickets and no admission, no permanent stage, lawn seating, and the possibility that existed whereby the board might decide to have a per event special use permit for ticketed events, and perhaps to go down another venue for non-ticketed events, pending further discussion. So here, I'm just asking a question, and that is, when you get all of this ironed out, this is a pretty important concept. You may want to put that on your UDO on the definitions page. The third point is standard hours of operation. And here I'm not trying to persuade, I'm just informing you. Just like weddings and receptions, the unticketed outdoor music events can run until 11 p.m., but many times they close down the music by 9 p.m. Just like in our homes, we can play music until 11, but we generally don't do that because we want to show courtesy to our neighbors and we hope that they'll respond in kind. The local festivals that are the non-ticketed outdoor music events that are successful in the area, and I've done an analysis, and that's what these other pages are. I'm not going to speak to all of that, are successful because, one, they have good sponsorship, two, they choose to have family-friendly hours and close at 9 p.m., and three, they choose to play crowd-pleasing music that reaches across generations and people of different walks of life. And typically that's bluegrass or beach music, and there's also some country and jazz and a very little bit of tribute music in there as well. quick explanation of how the analysis works. At the top of each, there is, I don't know if you can see this for the glare, there's the name of the venue, then there's the screenshot of the web page, the web address, and then either a red oval or a circle that highlights the closing hours. I want to also make you aware that this is a representative sample to the best of my ability based on internet available information over the last couple of weeks. I didn't, for example, find a venue with 5 non-ticketed events, 4 which closed at 11 and 1 which closed at 9, and cherry-picked and just pulled a 9 one. I wanted it to be appropriately presented to you. Then the last item is ticketed concert outdoor events in residential areas. And please pardon me, my concern is that if we allow amplified music in residential areas up until an 11 o'clock cutoff, that it's going to make it hard for Wendell to develop those areas in a way that's consistent with the expressions of where you might want to have residential communities.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time's up.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Paul White? I know you probably couldn't see it with the sun shining in your face. That's why. I'm sorry if I went over. No, that's fine. I knew you couldn't see it.
Keep mine low. I'm Paul White, businessman. What I'm speaking to is just quick and fast, and it's something positive. You're going to take up well, first, where are my interests? I'm involved with the Economic Development Committee. I'm involved with the Fire Board, and I'm speaking toward, later on tonight, you're going to talk about the fire department and whether Wendell is going to participate in the building. I'm thinking about it from an economic point of view. You need tax base, and I don't care how small it is, that some type of representation in that fire department by the town with the police department is very important to the tax base that we might draw. I think a lot of the commercial that's going to look out in that area would look favorably, even though we can take the cars and we can serve without that. Having a presence in Wendell Falls will probably go a long way when different commercial developments start looking to come here. And that's the tax base that Wendell greatly needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4 is a presentation by Executive Director Shannon White of the East Wake Education Foundation. Good evening, Ms. White. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. My name is Shannon White. I'm the Executive Director at East Wake Education Foundation. I'm coming up on being there 7 years, and anytime we get the opportunity to talk about the foundation and all the good things we have going on, we love to do that. So thank you again so much for having us and inviting us tonight. We are located on 4th Street, which is just right over there across from Town Hall, the little white building with the blue awnings. You can't miss us. For those of you that have not heard of us or might not know what we do, our program is unique because we work with the children and the parent. We work with children ages birth to 5, and all of our programs the parents participate in. They stay with the child while they're there, and we encourage them to be very active in anything that we do. A large majority of the families that we serve are low income and don't have other preschool options. So for you and I, preschool might not seem like a big deal to send our children to, but for a lot of people, that expense is not something that they can afford, and that's where we come in and our programming comes in, so that we can help those families. All of our programs are free of charge, and we serve families in Eastern Lake County, Knightdale, Wendell, Zebulon, and currently about a third of the families that we serve are from Wendell right here. So our mission is to ensure that every child arrives school-age, healthy, motivated, and ready to succeed. We have a resource center. This is where the families come and participate in the activities. In our resource center, we have different centers set up. There's an art center, dramatic play. We have a new tot spot area where smaller children can play, kind of free of the bigger kids and maybe not get knocked over, carpet that they can crawl on and play on. So that's something kind of new that we've done. There's puzzles and manipulatives. There's blocks, science, music, and we also have books and other learning materials that parents can check out and take home so that they can kind of model the things that they're seeing being done in the resource center and help continue getting their child ready for school. I want to introduce somebody real quick. It's our program director, Brooke Atkins. So she's the one that comes up with all the great ideas, and she does all the activities with the families while they're there. She started with us in March, and we're super excited to have her with us. We have a preschool class that's new. We started this in April. It's for children ages 3 to 5. The class is 30 minutes daily from 9:30 to 10. And so far, we've had 45 different children participate, which is fantastic. Just shows that there's a need for this in the area, that parents are excited about it and want to be there. And then while they're in the preschool class, the children learn how to participate in what is called circle time. They talk about weather, the calendar, cutting. They learn how to write their name. They learn letter recognition, which we use Letterland. Wake County Public Schools use that as well, so then all the children have been introduced to that. When they get to school, they know what they're talking about. And they learn to listen and follow directions. Something else that they learn while they're at the Resource Center is they learn socialization, which is very important when you're learning and getting ready for school. So each week we have a theme. We had a Pirate Week theme the other couple weeks ago. So things that the kids would do during this time, they've walked the plank, which works on balance. We had balance beams out and we walked the plank. They had a treasure map that they got to follow and find the treasure box. So they had to learn and to follow directions and follow a map. And at the end, they all got a treasure out of the treasure box, which was really big. And as you can see, on Thursday, we all dressed up. It was a lot of fun. Another example of something that we do at the Resource Center would be Camping Week. We just had this a couple weeks ago as well. We set up a tent, which is really exciting. The income base that we work with, a lot of the families don't get to go out and do things, so this allowed the children to see what it was like to be in a tent. They got to enjoy story time in the tent. We went on a bear hunt. We learned about wild animals, and you can see we had a little fake fire. We made s'mores. It was a really fun week. We had a great time. So some of the fun things that we have coming up for the Resource Center are some summer camps. Last year was the first year that we did summer camps. We had science fun for everyone come for 2 weeks. The great thing about having summer camps is that it opens up something new for families to come and check out, and we got a lot of new families that are still coming from last year. So our hope is that we'll do the same thing this year, and we've added a few other camps. We have Marbles Museum coming out. They're actually coming out 3 times this summer. They've been once. They're coming this coming Wednesday at 10 o'clock, so if anybody wants to come and play with Marbles stuff, we'd love to have you. We also have Expressions of Worship coming to do a week of dance with our 3 to 5-year-olds in August. It's wonderful to collaborate with other community businesses. They're located in downtown Wendell, and we're very happy that they're going to come and do that for us. We have Music Garden coming, which is a music camp. That they will bring instruments and different kinds of musics, and they will do, certain things with the children and their parents. And the last one is Science Fun for Everyone. They come out, bring a ton of science experiments for the kids to do. The kids get to take something home every day. It's a lot of fun. So again, our goal with summer camps is to put something out there that will kind of bring parents in that might be a little bit on the fence of if they want to come and see what we're all about. And we hope that they love our program and decide to continue to come. And here are a few of the things that Marbles brought to us. I think the favorite was in the bottom right corner, the little boy, Eric. He's inside some straws. They're called building straws, and the parents and the kids absolutely love that. They made lots of towers and different things, but we like that so much that we think we're going to have to get some of those for the Resource Center because we enjoyed playing with them so much. So as you can see, we have lots of fun at the Resource Center. We have gone on picnics to the Wendell Park and played with bubbles. We've had a chicken come in. We've had the K-9 unit from Zebulon come Rocco. Kids absolutely love him. We've had an Easter egg hunt. But I think one of the things that we're most proud of is that in May, our door opened 327 times. That means we touched the lives of those children, helped get them ready for school, introduced them to our program, helped mom, gave her some tips and pointers, and that is a huge increase from numbers in the past. We have also had 80 new children come to the Resource Center since March, and that is probably more than we have had in a total year in the past that we have just had since March. So Brooke is doing great things in the center. People are talking, parents are coming, our program is growing. It's a fantastic problem to have. And so if any of you would ever love to come and see what we're doing, we're there from 9 to 12, Monday through Thursday. You're always welcome to swing on by. Kids love to have visitors. And I would like to thank you guys for your continued support. We couldn't do what we do if we didn't have supporters like you that gave to us so that we could continue our program. So again, thank you so much for letting us speak tonight.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the Town of Wendell fiscal year 2016-2017 budget ordinance amendment for year-end reconciliation. Mr. Kay?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, members of the board, you have in your agenda packet the budget ordinance amendment for the 2016-2017 fiscal year. The purpose of doing this amendment is basically to clean up, true up the line items that we have within the budget here. It's pretty much for audit purposes. We kind of do this once a year at the end of the fiscal year. As you can see at the bottom there, essentially, you know, we've had revenues increase there to bring our budget total up to $6.7 million. Same thing down in expenditures at the bottom, the net between the increases and decreases, also $6.7 million. So at this point, the staff is just asking for the board to adopt this budget ordinance amendment.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Kay? Comments? Can I get a motion? You have a question? Okay.
Budgetary magic that it came out to the exact number?
Well, obviously we have to, our revenues and our expenditures do have to balance, and so in order to do that, obviously we had some line items that went over, but then we also had some line items that do decrease and that we don't, you know, meet those projections, and so we were able to reduce those down so that it would balance. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the budget ordinance amendment for fiscal year 2016-17.
All right. We have a motion to approve the budget ordinance amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6 is the introduction of new Town of Wendell employee Wyatt McGee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Wyatt McGee, accompanying me here, sitting next to me, began his employment last week on the 19th, last Monday. Prior to beginning work with the town, he was employed with the Upper Coastal Plains Council of Government, where he served as both a contract inspector as well as a land use and environmental planner. During his time with that COG, he provided planning and regulatory support to numerous small towns, including Sharpsburg, Stantonsburg, and Conway. He is a certified floodplain manager, which is something that's actually a new accreditation to add to our planning staff, and has over 25 years of experience in the planning field. Those years include work in code enforcement and zoning interpretations, ordinance amendment, permitting, grant writing, field inspections, development review, plan preparation, and public presentations, so pretty much the whole gambit. He's had a long career in planning, has had his experience in a lot of different areas. He currently resides with his wife and his 6-year-old daughter in Nashville, North Carolina. So we're happy to have the opportunity to introduce him to the board and hope everyone will help welcome Wyatt to the town of Wendell.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You know we're not going to let you off that easy.
Appreciate the opportunity to come here, and I'm particularly impressed with your downtown area. It's very beautiful.
And we think so too. Thank you. We're happy to have you. Welcome to Wendell.
I'll just stay up here.
Item number 7 is discussion of economic development incentive policy. Mr. Bergmark?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, just continued discussions on economic development incentive policies, not asking for any action, I just wanted to bring back some additional material that was requested at the last meeting in May. This all kind of started in our January and March meetings in looking at what policies we might want to try to work on. And we've revised kind of a 2009 policy with new information. But at the last meeting in May, there were a few items that were requested, mainly to kind of help guide your conversations, give you better comparison of what other municipalities are doing, both in terms of large business incentive policies as well as anything that's more downtown oriented. So staff's put together a comparison with, I believe it's 10 municipalities in Wake County to show you what their investment thresholds are. Again, we were looking at trying to increase that threshold, so a smaller business, that might be more of a, $2 million wouldn't necessarily be eligible. We were looking at increasing it up to $5 million. But this kind of shows you for these different 10 examples, it ranges anywhere for, some don't actually have a minimum threshold, others will have $3 million, some of them it's, in the case of Raleigh, I think it was $20 million, Zebulon was 11 plus. Theirs actually increased annually based on construction cost amounts as well. But this also goes into how many jobs might have to be required, what wage requirements might be attached to those jobs. The payment structure is how many years the town would pay out for these grants. And then one part of the comparison was how much would the town actually pay out if a grant was approved based on these policies and based on our draft, as well as how much taxes would still be collected. And you can kind of see where our draft policy ends up paying out probably slightly above average, although there's some outliers out there like Fuquay-Varina. But if you compare this to, for example, Morrisville, Knightdale, and Zebulon, those ones at the top, how much would be paid out over 5 years? I used just an example of $12 million. The only reason why I chose the number $12 million is so that Zebulon could still be included. Obviously, Raleigh would not be included in that example. And although we paid out a little bit more, we actually also collected a little bit more because it's all influenced by tax rates as well. So I wanted to provide you with that information per your request. In the report, part of staff's recommendation was, if we were to move forward with this, to look at increasing the average wage slightly as well as the number of jobs slightly, kind of based on that comparison. Since I put together this report, I actually came across some other material through the School of Government that made it look as like legally it may be safer just to stick to the 100% of county wage rather than I was originally suggesting putting it at like 85%. So if we do move forward, I think I would probably err on that side of just doing that 100% of county wage for any jobs that are attached to it. Of course, I would want our attorney to look at all of this prior to us taking any action, especially the downtown incentives if we move forward with any of those. So in the attachments, the draft material is still the same as what was in your last meeting. I didn't change anything in there. Like I said, I just wanted to give these new pieces of information for both the large business and the small business, and then see what input you may have or any direction that you were going to provide to us following this. For the one of the other items you also requested was examples of what's a $2 million building versus a $20 million building or facility kind of look like. So you have that as an attachment G. I think it runs, I think you have a 1, a 2 million, 7 million, 11, 20, and 50, or somewhere along those lines. And these are all fairly recent. I selected ones that were, I think, 2008 or later. So if you're kind of questioning, well, why isn't another one shown? It might be because it was, it could just be because I didn't pick it, but it might be because it was built back in 2002 or something along those lines as well. And finally, you did ask for kind of comparison for downtown as well. Unlike the large business incentive policies, those were, for the most part, pretty similar to each other, and most of the municipalities in Wake County had them. I would say that not in that case for large business, not having a policy is not the norm, and it might put you at a little bit of a competitive disadvantage. For the downtown policies, that's not necessarily the case. It was more rare to have one than to not have one to a certain degree. Maybe rare isn't the right word, but the majority didn't seem to have them. Let me put it that way. But I ended up pulling a little bit further than just Wake County for that one. Still local. I pulled from Wilson, Smithfield, I took in Rocky Mount to give some other examples. There's much less consistency in anything downtown related, both in terms of whether or not you have one or not, also what you're trying to incentivize and how you're incentivizing it. Part of the reason I included Smithfield is that one did include a restaurant upfit example. And there's others I probably could pull, but I did want to just kind of point out for these, it's much more hit or miss on whether or not you have one and also how you structure one if you do have one. But with that said, like I said, this was really mainly about just giving you more information, and I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Bergmark?
I'll just comment real quick. The restaurant grants and retail, I noticed you use Smithfield as an example. Their max is $10,000. Our max would be $30,000. I still have some heartburn over that because that's a lot of money, even though it's paid out over 3 years. As tight as we budget to find $10,000 a year to pay out for a restaurant. And these other towns have much larger tax base. I know we all want a restaurant, but I just don't see the need in spending that kind of money, especially tax dollars, to go to a private business.
That's true. I mean, our suggested amount is definitely higher than that, but that's part of the reason for bringing this up. So we, could of course make adjustments based on what we're seeing for other municipalities.
David, this ultimate decision still comes back before the board, correct? So we were able to evaluate
Right.
Even if we pass this as is, we evaluate each project on its merits and we determine as a board whether or not we believe.
Correct. This is in no way obligates you to approve anything. This is kind of just setting the structure for what's even eligible. There would have to be a public hearing. They'd have to come before you, make a case, and present information. We'd give a staff report. You'd evaluate it based on the merits of that individual case, and there would be a specific contract made for each specific case if approved.
But it was to say we were to limit it to $10,000 and Tavern on the Green in New York City comes in and wants to locate on Main Street for $12,000. We wouldn't then have the ability to go back and...
Right. You could certainly award...
We can award less, we can't award more.
Maybe not say, since the attorney's not here, maybe I shouldn't say certainly. I don't think there's anything that would stop you from awarding more, but I would want Jim, again, to look at these. Anytime you have the attorney look at something, it costs money. So before I sent it to him for the downtown stuff, I really wanted to get a sense of what you may even be interested in, so I didn't have him reviewing something that wasn't of real interest. But as long as there's not any legal problems with doing so, then yes, I think you could definitely award more. This is not structured to limit you, it just can't be less than that.
Thank you for that clarification.
I would really like to see, looking at Wilson's, I would like to see something like that, 80% growth paid back over a 5-year period versus, a check cut once a year for $10,000.
So you'd be more interested in something that was kind of tied to that increased tax value?
Right, right.
Are there any other comments? No? If someone should think of something they'd like to add, email it to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
They seem like they're quiet. Item number 8, discussion of the fire commission appointment. Ms. Goggins.
Okay, Mayor and Commissioners, before you this evening is information about the Wake County Fire Commission appointment, and board action will not be requested until a future board meeting. The town of Wendell participates in the Wake County Fire Protection Service District. As a participant, Wake County appoints the representative to the Wake County Fire Commission to represent the town of Wendell. Persons appointed by Wake County to the Fire Commission serve a 2-year term beginning in November with a term expiring October 30th. Presently, Mr. Lucius Jones is the town's Fire Commission representative, and his term expires October 31st of this year. Meetings of the Wake County Fire Commission are held on the third Thursday of every other month, beginning in January. The meetings are held at the Wake County Emergency Medical Services Training Center at the Wake County Commons Building, unless otherwise noted, and begin at 7 p.m. These are open meetings to the public. Anyone can attend to hear the business. Information about the Wake County Fire Commission is being provided so that the board may submit a citizen recommendation at its September meeting, and in turn, the town will submit that recommendation to the clerk to the Wake County Board of Commissioners for an upcoming Wake County agenda packet. So again, this is just for information this evening, and at September, we'll be looking for action from the board.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Goggins? How long are the terms for this? This is the first I recall being asked about this.
Members,
Time on the board.
okay, members can, the term appointments are for 2 years per term.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank
Okay.
you very much. Item number 9 is a discussion on Wendell co-locating in the proposed Wake County Public Safety Facility. Ms. Tyner.
Madam Mayor, members of the board, you have before you some information that relates to a future public facility, safety facility that's being built by Wake County. It is looking to include Wake County EMS and fire services, as well as the town of Wendell. We've been looking at, some of this for some time. It has been a need, and it identified as a need for a facility to be closer to the interchange, the 4-lane, whether that's Wendell Boulevard, Wendell Falls Parkway, 264 bypass, because of the traffic and the demands on the western side of the town. When we first received information back from Wake County, we were estimating that something that was fully dressed out in the facility of for the police department section of that was going to look at somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5 million. We did express our concern to Wake County regarding that cost, and they had some changes and wanted to look back at their facility as well, and they have certainly done that. What you will see before you now is looking at a facility that is approximately, it's been reduced overall from to 17,767 square feet. The police department section that we've looked at as far as owning that we would be locating in would be 1509. Last time when we mentioned to you, we were looking at somewhere around 2778. Now, the 1509 does not include the shared space. And so we're looking at coming in, fixtures, everything fully dressed out at $927,000. You have on your agenda packet and a breakdown of where that 927 comes from, with a breakdown of land down to the contingencies to the 927. The overall cost for the size, the building of that size, is 372 square feet. Is $372 a square foot. So what we're wanting to look at now, they are preparing, Wake County is preparing to purchase the land in July of this year. They are going to be getting ready with their design and moving forward with their scope in preparations of construction starting next fiscal year, FY19. In doing that, the town of Wendell needs to make some decisions on whether or not we want to participate and move forward as well. So tonight, we're here asking for input and questions that we can take back to Wake County. I think we have some long-term decisions that we need to make. It's not whether we need a presence, but in what type of presence that we want to have on the western side of town is going to be important. So at this time, I'm here to gather questions to take back to Wake County and to see if there's something that we can do to continue working together with them, or if we have made a decision to go in another direction, to know that as well.
What is the cost of the prorated shared space? How much is that? Is that on top of the $927,000?
The total right there for us is the 927. That counts the shared space as well.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And just a little bit about that, and you do have the attachment with 11 by 17 or whatever was kind of small, so we do have a full-size attachment in there for you to look as well. Some of the shared space will include meeting space, facilities, hallways, bathrooms, those kinds of things that you have to have no matter what. Also, looking at the ability to have exercise facilities, areas that firearms, that sort of thing, can be locked and secured as well.
I'm just wondering, I'm gonna go on a limb and say they haven't picked a developer for this project yet.
As far as a contractor, no, sir.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Carroll, y'all might wanna pay attention, somebody's getting ready to get $237 a square foot. I mean, that, and I understand that, does that price of 237 square foot, does that factor in y'all's numbers on fully outfitting the place?
That is fully outfitting the place with the 927,000 is fixtures, bathrooms, fully dressed out.
Desk, printers, computers?
Yes, sir.
I'd love to see what their actual number is on price per square foot.
Of the building?
Of what we're actually
The building.
build. The other question, and we would have ownership of a portion of the building, no ownership of the land.
That is correct. In this, they do have the land cost that is calculated into this for the upfit of that, and that is significant in this area. And one of the reasons that this price does come in higher than normal, because it has some land challenges, land preparation challenges. But you are correct, the town, although this would be for site preparation, is not going to own any of the land or actually own the facility, any part of the facility.
So we're just paying for some of the land, but we don't get to own the land.
And then we will not own the land underneath.
Commissioner Boyd may have an answer to this. My understanding initially when we started this project is this will be the first tri-occupied space, police, fire, and EMS in Wake County.
That's correct. There is a multi-use facility in Garner, but I'm not sure if it's I don't think it's quite like this one.
The other one in Garner is just fire and police, or
Right.
fire and EMS.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my second question of them, is how do we structure that our attorney signs off on the legalities of it. My third question is, I know historically Wake County's done owner financing.
They would be involved in financing this as well. To what extent, I do not know, but they would be involved in that.
Obviously, that makes our budget conversations a little bit easier. I'd remind our dear friends in Raleigh that they take 10 cents for the fire portion of it, which is obviously why they're covering fire in this situation. There's no one that wants to see us have a space out here more than I do. I want to see us involved in this process. That said, it would be hard for me to hit you on administrative budgets and Parks and Rec budgets, hit the police department on police department budgets and what they're expanding on, if I sat back and just let them float numbers to us and we didn't check them on every single number. So I have every intention of checking them on every single number and making sure that we're getting a good deal both for Wendell Fire Department and for Wendell Police Department. The building is going up irregardless of whether we participate. we need to make sure that we do this in what I will call a Wendell fiscal fashion, which is to make sure we get the best deal. If we have land challenges, I'm sure Mr. White has another piece of land we can look at. There's lots of things that we can look at to address the issues, but I don't want to run headstrong into what a consultant for Wake County said. So the price per square foot, how we structure that legally, since Wake County will have never done this before, how do we do that makes it work? And then the third piece for me is making sure that how we structure that repayment to Wake County. If they have an exceptional rate they want to offer us, or an exceptional time period for repayment, that may calm some of my other fears, but if they're going to give us market rate prices, it makes this very hard. That's close to a fifth of our budget,
Yep.
if not a sixth.
It is, also, when looking forward and as we move forward with this, we would be around, we would have to be looking at $80,000 to $100,000 next fiscal year to participate in this project. They are going to be looking at some of the design fees that need to be paid up front as they're moving forward, and so that is something that they have expressed that they would be looking to for the town to participate before they ever get to the actual construction of the building itself.
I'll ask one more thing of you. If we could reach out to Wendell Falls and get their feedback, especially with the change in leadership there, on their desire to see a police presence there, and to what degree they would like us to have a police presence there, if this building satisfies that, or if this is not something they want. If it is something they want, to what degree we can work with them to make sure we're meeting that community's needs.
Okay.
What are the actual land costs, not for the town, but overall?
I believe it was somewhere, over $1 million, which is higher than normal. Yeah, right there, I'm sorry. 1.5 million is the purchase and prep of the site cost.
Purchase and prep?
Yes. A lot of the grading that's having to go in, they have some geography and some topo issues out there they're having to address with retaining walls and some of the dips, and so that is 1.5 million.
Is, when you said that there were some issues with site prep, is that what you were talking about? Is
Yeah.
The grading of the
Yes, the grading, topography issues that they're experiencing there, yes.
Okay. I've come to town hall and I've talked with staff several times about this project, and we've sat down and looked at it this way and looked at it that way, and I keep coming back to the price per square foot, which is enlightening? Very enlightening. No, it's actually disheartening. At the fire station, we get a magazine. We get several magazines, publications that are, very fire specific. And one of them every year has a station design contest, and they rank nationwide the stations that are built. And I mean, there are some fantastic looking stations. Absolutely stunning, in places that, in towns and cities that have never had to worry about how to spend a dollar. This station, at least as far as price per square foot, which is spelled out in those rankings, this station will put us in the upper echelons of that. I don't understand how the vast majority of fire, EMS, and police stations can be built for around $200 a square foot. I mean, we're talking about basically a steel structural building built to commercial standards. I mean, it's not, the convention center. It's not an aquatic center. There's no huge pool. Let's come back to the aquatic center. But when it originally came, the cost for the town for our portion was going to be over $500 a square foot. I couldn't believe it. It was absolutely astounding how high that price was. And there's some things, especially about the design, that I just can't wrap my head around. And I still have some questions that I would like, answered about that. The statement that it's not a huge lot, and the statement that going from a single story, because this building is sprawling. If you look at the actual footprint of the building, it takes up a large portion of the lot that it sits on. And it is sprawling, to say the word. But to say that, it's just too expensive to build a second story. There are a lot of commercial buildings that are built with second stories. There are a lot of fire stations that are built with second stories, 3 stories, 4 stories. Not fire stations, but commercial buildings. The reason you go up is because at a certain point it gets cheaper to go up than it does to continue to spread out. And I don't know that it's been looked at hard enough. I don't know that it's been studied hard enough. Just how corpulent this station has become. It is just like a blob, I guess. And there become issues with that. I understand there's fire separation and elevators and things like that, but there's also the amount of time it takes to get from one side of the building all the way to the other. This building isn't exactly set up to make moving from one place to another in a fast, and it's because it was, put together in pieces over time. And this fire station basically looks like it was designed the same way, except they're going to build it all at one time. They have the luxury of doing it right, but and so I have concerns about the price. I'd like to see the price come down, but $85,000 in the first year, and that's just for design and land acquisition, and some of the land acquisition. That's mighty steep, considering what we just paid for a standalone police station in our town center, already up and running. As far as where it's located, or if the land costs were too high or whatever, there is a whole lot of modeling. I will say there's a whole lot of modeling done about run times, and that station is very strategically located to cut down on run times for fire and EMS, to reach areas of the county and the town that we can't currently reach now, or aren't as easy to reach in a timely manner. Just because of where that area is, there was nothing out there for a long time. There was no, the highway was there, but there was no exit.
That's right.
So now there's exit, there's neighborhood, and there's a lot of people going out there. And so that's where it needs to be. Perhaps it's somewhere in the general area, but it pretty much nailed down where it needs to be. So I look forward to continuing to work on this project. And I wish we were a little bit further along. I would like to thank our representative on the Fire Commission, Ms. Lucius Jones, who has worked very hard making sure that this stayed on the county, forefront of the county's mind and budget, because there are plenty of times where this project probably would have been, sewn under, because it's been so far out for such a long time. It was first put on the radar when Mercury Development, I believe, came in, and they said, "Oh, we're going to build you a fire station," and all this, and that was how many years ago? And so, just being able to hold on to that appropriation, hold on to that placeholder, that money, has been very helpful. So, I don't want to see it at this point fall apart. So.
I have a couple questions. Wasn't Mercury Development going to donate the land for that, or was there some talk?
I know that there were some negotiations on that. Originally, the land that Mercury Development was looking at this facility to locate on was at a different spot. It was closer toward what I call a primary corporate limits. And then the last movements have been to the west of what I'd call Martin Road. Doesn't sound right. Martin Pond Road, yeah, and or to the west of that. So that was the beginning negotiations. That was never settled upon.
But that's
again.
Where kind of things were at one time. That was my
Yeah.
understanding until it all fell apart. So that would have saved $1.5 million off the top of it, maybe, right to begin with. That's all I
It's
was
possible.
asking.
I think they did the run times, and that's where
Yeah.
then they came up with the moving of the facility.
And just for everybody's benefit, how much are we paying for the police station we're in the process of?
About 365,000.
So $365,000 for our main whole police station, where we are headquartered. You know, $85,000 next year just to start planning, I just can't,
Yeah.
I can't see it. I just, you know.
What we would like as you look at this over the remainder of the week, if we could continue to gather questions, and then we could submit this a package to Wake County.
Well,
That
for
would be
me,
good.
I'll just tell you that I think the cost is far exceeds where we are right now in Wendell. You know very well, I like to dream big. I'm ready. But this is well beyond where we are right now, in my opinion, financially. And I do think we need a presence out there, and I've said this before in one of our meetings, I rode all around one day and looked at police substations in different towns, and they are in little shopping centers, and these people are not going into Hawk for almost $1 million. And I just, you know, I don't care what kind of financing you can get for it. It's $1 million.
Yes.
The substation, to me, is supposed to be a landing spot with some desks and a restroom, but our police station is here. And, you know, to spend something that's 3 times more than our current police station, I don't know.
Well, I think some of the things, and we'll talk about this next soon too, but to know where we are going as a group and what our long-term goal is, and then what we do, you know, in the meantime. I think that one of those pieces of that puzzle is buying the facility here that we have on Pine Street for the police department, and to look at where it is that we want to go long-term.
Well, long-term, I think it needs to stay where it is. If we buy that. Is that what you mean?
Well, yes, but as a substation as well. I know some of the things, many factors that we've talked about over the years is whether or not having a place for the police to be able to actually work out in a facility. Some of the things.
I understand all that, but
yeah. It is not moving our main facility.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
Go ahead. Well, you can go ahead, David, and I'll follow up after you.
As the county, and you may have covered this, and I just wasn't right in here, has the county give us a date for Wendell to say yay or nay on this project? Are they under the impression that we're on board, we're just concerned about cost?
Well, we have expressed our concern about costs. It's something, again, that's probably been talked about the last 10, 15 years of the town participating in some way in a facility, a joint facility. Again, and it was very broad at the time. It was kind of, the number that I heard was 2,000 square feet, but we didn't have any numbers, like I said, 10 plus years ago tied to that. They are purchasing that in July, and they will begin the design of the facility and want to start construction in FY19. So they are looking and would like, the sooner the better for them, and I think they would like to hear something in the next 30 to 60 days.
Okay, and if we were to go to the county and say, you know, we're not interested, would that completely change their design on this project?
Well, I think it would probably remove those offices at about 1,500 square feet. However, the facility is 17,000. So there would be some changes to it, but they're still planning, again, because of the run times, those kinds of things that they've analyzed, they're still planning that they will move on without the town of Wendell.
I guess where I'm trying to get at, if they're going to build the building anyway, regardless whether we say yay or nay, if our concerns are the cost, and we say we're not there yet, but maybe in 5 years we'll be big enough to have our own presence there, maybe they would lease it to us. Is that something they'd be interested in, leasing us the space to keep the cost down?
And that's something we could certainly talk to them about. They did have on that plan, I think you can see some dotted lines, so that if we did need in the future for storage or expansion, they have some dotted lines on the plan so that we would have the ability to expand, not necessarily offices, but more for trailers and access to that area.
It's my opinion that to date, Newland's been a good community partner, and I know Commissioner Joyner asked you to discuss with them the importance of this substation and just get some feedback from them, and I would encourage you to see if they are willing to invest in that as well. You know, they've helped out with several other projects. It's maybe something they're interested in, and that may soften the blow too. But I agree with the rest of the bunch. I mean, $232 or $237 a square foot, whatever it was. I mean, that's pretty high coming from a builder. So.
Yeah, it is.
Manager Piner, I'm going to ask you to do, as a follow-up to the previous list I gave you, I guess I'm going to add one more to it. If you wouldn't mind setting up a meeting between Wake County Commissioner Chair Steve Hutchinson, this is his area, Matt Calabria, who would be over Fire Commission, myself, yourself, Commissioner Boyette raised his hand, as well as Sheriff Harrison, who doesn't have a physical presence in the eastern side of the county, and this would be putting a physical presence there, and Chief Carter, so we can have this conversation around the table, so we can give them a solid answer in 60 to 90 days, as well as including Newland in that conversation.
Okay.
And me.
So if you could just invite everyone east of Raleigh to sit down. The thought process is, let's bring the public sector, the private sector, the city and the county law enforcement. I think that there's more, no one here is balking this because we don't think it's a good idea. We're balking this because of the process and the cost. And Mr. White's nodding at me, so let's include the Chief Staples in that as well. If not, I'll get an extra 30 minutes in my next fire board meeting. But at least a request to those folks to come sit down and have a conversation about this.
Okay.
And maybe that way we can ask and answer questions at the same time and not continue to put you in the middle of this. I've got no doubt that if we gave you a request for a 1,500 or 1,700 square foot building in Wendell Falls, that you would bring that in under budget at $927,000. So I think that logic prevails if we sit down and all talk about how we can all use this space and how we can all invest in it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Item number 10 is a discussion to consider a mid-year town board retreat.
Madam Mayor, members of the board, this is something that we did last year, and as we move forward, whether or not it's something we would like to do again this year. We had discussed it. Now, I will say that last year wasn't mid-year and probably won't be this year either, just mainly because of with summertime and the way that falls. But we were looking at something either in August sometime possibly to look at what has been completed, some of what our future needs are, and what hasn't been completed based upon our retreat. And these are all based upon a retreat in January. What's been completed, where have we not met those goals and why, and to see what we could do as far as in some way small preparations or guidance on what we would like to see our annual retreat to include. So, you know, I don't know with the snapshot that we've been giving out, if that helps with some of the things with the policies, the replacement policy for the equipment, whether or not for the financial goals, if that is enough information or we would like to sit down. And I think our format would probably change just a little bit based upon the input that we received at last year's mid-retreat and be more of a focused and a bulleted list from each department on their major achievements as a department, as well as specifically what it was that they were tasked with at the January retreat. So we are open to ideas and suggestions.
I would like that and the reading material that we receive ahead of the retreat,
Okay.
please. The tasks and where we stand on them, or what's been accomplished and that kind of thing. Does anyone have any comments?
I too would like to see the mid-year retreat, but if we could do it in a more concise form than we did last year, that'd be great. I felt like we repeated our annual retreat at the mid-year retreat. And what I mean by that is if we get bullet points, the facts from each department head, a little more concise, that'd be great.
Okay. What kind of a time frame do you think that we would need? Again, depending on the format, we could have its own special night, or we could try to tie it in with a work session. But a lot of times, we're not knowing ahead of time what those length of the work sessions are. Sometimes that can get overwhelming. So
Have its own night.
have its own
I
night.
think it probably needs its own night.
Okay.
But if we have the information ahead of time and come prepared to talk about it, it will move along, I think.
Okay.
And not turn into a late night.
Okay.
Y'all have any?
You want to go ahead to the date?
Yeah, let's set a date.
Okay.
I thought we'd start at about 10 o'clock at night.
What's that?
Well, I can if you want to.
I can't, I go to bed at 9.
And I did not, I don't
We'll
believe.
take a nap.
I was, a couple of things we were looking at, and it's totally up to the board, was we have an extra Monday. Of course, I was looking at August 7th, trying to stay away from Labor Day weekend. Or if we wanted to do it on a Monday, we can do it. And I apologize, I don't have my calendar with me. Or we could do it on like a Thursday night.
Monday or Thursday, y'all?
I do Thursday.
All right with you?
Thursday?
Thursday?
We could look at a Thursday.
You want to do it that week of August 7th, or is that
That would work.
10th?
The 10th?
Okay.
And if you look back home, if you've got conflicts, let us know, and we'll take a look at that. We can firm that up.
What time you want to start?
I want to start early and start at 4:30. Well, maybe 4. Up to y'all.
I know that y'all all have jobs and things. Would 5 be better, or 5:30? Or,
We could
I
do,
mean, I make your pleasure. What do y'all want to do?
5:30.
5:30?
5:30?
5:30.
Reason my iPhone's wanting to know the end time. Do you have one?
I'm thinking if we had the bulleted list, what I'm hoping is that we would be able to complete it in 2 hours, because
Carol goes to bed at 9.
All day.
That's no joke.
So we're going to have to move along.
So I really do think that if we've got this ahead of time and it's bulleted based upon the information, the request from the January retreat, that it shouldn't take more than a couple of hours.
I think so too. All right. Thank y'all. So August 10th at 5:30.
That's what we have. Now, again, if anybody, we've got some time and flexibility, please look at your calendars when you get home. I'll look at that.
All right, now, item 11, discussion of our scheduling of our May retreat.
Yes, just a couple of items there. We are looking at probably sometime in January, toward the end of January, trying to move away from the holidays. And we've talked in the past, and some of the issues that have been brought up of whether or not we're, again, repeating some of the things we've done in the past, and whether or not we want to focus on some large issues. Some of the things that we're thinking about maybe doing it different. And again, we can firm this up after the election, but to focus on things, specifics, and have professionals that are wanting to come in and speak to us on specific topics. One would be like a bond issue. We've had someone come out and speak to the board several years ago on that. Is that something we'd like to have somebody to come back out? Again, talking about districts, we've talked about that in the past, in municipal elections. Do we want someone from the School of Government or our town attorney to come and speak specifically about that? I think we've got some time in there But instead of looking at how we've done it in the past, is whether or not we want to have like more of a, like our really heavy-hitting work session where we delve down into some of these questions that we have on specific issues. Again, that's open, and whether or not sometime late January would work for most of the board.
All right, well, let's talk about the date first, and then we'll talk about the other. So, do you want to say how's January 20th? I don't have the state basketball schedule. Do you have that, Commissioner Boyette?
I do not. That is an A-shift day though, so I'll say I would rather not be on the 20th. I can do the 27th.
27. Does anybody have any conflicts with the 27th that they know about? Okay. We're going to tentatively do the 27th.
Okay.
All right. As far as topics and things, I would kind of like it to be a hybrid between, I don't know that we need a facilitator or anything like that, but I do think there's always a possibility between now and then, or there may be something on someone's mind already that they'd like to discuss as a group, in addition to the possibility of some of these things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you could always ask for submissions of topics, and that way if they have something, we can include it or not, you know. And that would be my suggestion, to tailor it really to what the board would like to discuss. Do y'all have a preference?
I would say if we had a situation of something like bond rating, just the first on the list, there may be a little more education on that one. So having some actors speak at one of our board meetings would be more helpful versus spending time that day being educated and then discussing. I think after our last meeting, I think we all kind of like to have topics and dive into them and then check them off our list. And I think spending time being educated in just general concept would really slow us down.
Okay.
Anybody else? Does that help you?
That helps, that gets us started, and we'll be glad to kind of start thinking about some of those topics and areas of focus over the next few months.
Okay. All right, so be thinking if there's anything that y'all would like to discuss, okay? And you mentioned about the board makeup, because we have an election coming up, and for some reason the board were to change in some fashion. Anyone who was new may need some additional preparation prior to this.
Absolutely.
All right. Item number 12 is update on board committees by town board members. I think I'm on one. I had Campo last week. We had a public hearing on amendment to the TIP procedure. We talked about the fiscal year 2018 Wake County Transit Work Plan, the financial policies and guidelines and stuff like that for the Southeastern Area Study. Talked about transit asset management performance and how to measure and target for good repair. We discussed, in addition to Campo's staff, we talked about 2019 lap projects and a request to designate a critical urban freight corridor. So that was that. All right, commissioners' reports. We'll start with Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I briefly saw Big Truck Day both Friday night and Saturday as I was on the way to the Gray wedding, and it looked like quite the event. So thank you for everybody that put into bringing people downtown. Those events that I think the mayor originally spearheaded to get people downtown are certainly turning out to be good things, and things I think now that we've done them, people look forward to. I want to harp on the same thing that I have harped on the last 3 meetings. So here's your town of Wendell budget. I got home from the job that I work every day, all day. just in time to check the mail tonight, and my wife was sorting through the mail, and she handed me a letter from BB&T letting me know that my escrow would be going up on my house. Now, fortunately, that's something that my family can absorb, and we'll work through. Unfortunately, my escrow went into detail to show me who raised the taxes on me. Town of Wendell was on there at 000. Wake County showed as who raised the taxes on me. I will say that the earlier item, talking about the fire station and police station, probably is a little bit more under my skin, because last week I voted against what was a very procedural vote on a thing that the public has already voted on with the transit bond, and I just voted because I didn't feel like Wendell got a good deal out of that, and I voted against it purely on that basis. Tonight, before I come to vote or to discuss working with the county, I get a letter saying your property taxes are going up. There's not going to be any more buses in Wake County or in Wendell. There won't be any more ambulances in Wendell. The fire board that I sit on, I don't know of any Wake County firefighters that are getting huge pay increases or any new apparatus that's going to protect Wendell. And yet, on my property statement, supposedly I'm paying more for some service. I'm all for fairness. If I had raised the taxes, or we had raised the taxes on the citizens of Wendell, I'd expect them to hold me accountable for what new service or what new thing we were providing. But this board showed, and this staff, particularly Mr. Kay and Ms. Piner, showed we can provide more services, get new equipment, take care of the quality of our staff, and even expand our staff without raising taxes on citizens. The school board has come out and said that the Wake County budget underfunds them by more than 2/3. Several of the nonprofits, like the East Wake Education Foundation and others that have asked, didn't get the funding request that they made. So I'm asking tonight, one, why BB&T is the one that's notifying me of what Wake County government's doing, and two, if I'm paying the freight, where are the goods? That's not so much to attack any of the commissioners, Commissioner Calabria, Commissioner Hutchinson. I think they all have the right idea. As John Burns would say, this is several pizzas for my family, so we'll cut back 4 or 5 pizzas that we order this year, and we'll cover the tax bill. But I do think it's disingenuous for government to pass budgets and not explain on the backside what they're doing. So if anyone in the town wants to know what we did with this budget money, I'll be happy to show you. And with that, I'll end my rant for the evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyette?
Come out to July 4th. Wendell Historical Society will put on another, I'm sure, stunning July 4th celebration, as they have in years past. You can tell I'm already in festive mood, as obviously Commissioner Joyner. No, seriously, I agree with him on some of those points.
This is my business casual suit.
I thought it was your lounge suit.
No time.
I agree. It does seem like the east side of the county in particular gets the short shrift a lot of the time when it comes to the county. I would like to see, for those increased tax dollars, I would like to see countywide water service, not just in the city limits, but all throughout the county. If Johnston County can do it, there's no reason that Wake County can't do it. You want to talk about an economic driver? You get water and sewer out to places, and you can. Wake County Fire Department, our Wendell Fire Department did an excellent job getting the ISO ratings down, so that's not even really an issue anymore. But if you want to get big industry in, they're not going to drill a well. They're going to want water. And there's simply no reason that there's not countywide water in the unincorporated areas of Wake County. And so I would like to see some things or some good explanations as to where that money is going. I think the vast majority of it, or at least a very large chunk of it, goes to the schools. You know, 5 years ago, I would have said I shouldn't have to pay any money for schools. I don't go to them. Now, I think we should spend tons of money on schools. No, my wife works for the school system, and the school board has to be very tight with them, has to be very tight with the employees, because they're not getting the funding requests that they need to stay competitive on salaries, teachers buying their own supplies, and the school board's in a tough spot, and the county's in a tough spot too. The county's raised the tax rate now, this is 4th year in a row? 5th year in a row? You know, and you know, we hemmed and hawed about doing it after the last reevaluation. You know, we don't even consider it in years when there's not a reevaluation. So, you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown, I suppose. But it would be nice to see some accountability. And I'm sure if you look at the budget, you can find it somewhere. But a lot of it goes to things that just don't trickle down to the east side of the county. With that said, again, the Fire Commission, the Wake County Fire Commission does a good job. We get Wendell and the area surrounding Wendell receives more money for fire protection than our citizens pay into that system, and that's been beneficial. We do get new apparatus from the county. We got a new one last year, or early this year, and we got another one scheduled to be replaced this upcoming year. We have top-notch fire equipment in Wendell. Top-notch firemen, if I do say so myself. And so there are things that, you know, the county money brings in. I don't want to discount any of that, but the other thing I would like to say is I will be running for re-election this upcoming cycle. So any of you who are hoping to take my spot, you're going to have to get at least half a dozen signs that outdo me. But I look forward to spending another 4 years on this board. I've enjoyed it, and I feel like it takes a good 6 months or a year just to get up to speed. And I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the town if I didn't at least try to take some experience and some of the knowledge I've gained and apply it for at least a little while longer here. Like I said, I've enjoyed it. The people in town and a lot of things go on in this town that I never knew happened. And I look forward to another 4 years.
Thank you.
Yes, just a quick reminder, East Wake Senior Center is having a fish fry on July 8th. They're going to start serving plates at 11 a.m. And I hope everyone has a happy and safe 4th of July.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Yeah, Big Truck Day was a lot of fun. My kids always enjoy that each year. So thanks to the town staff who did that. And then also just thanks to, and I don't want to hear it, but just to all the private companies and people who came out, the Coyote and some of our partners and who just donated their time, and other towns who brought their police. It was a real great day. Beautiful weather. The music was good, and I enjoyed having that out there too. It was a very nice touch. I didn't speak earlier on the fire department just because I felt like they had said it enough. But just to kind of say my 2 cents, I think that it's outrageous the money they're asking us to pay for a station, and I agree 100% that we need a presence out there. I think that side of the county, I agree to this point almost to I think we even need a good presence over there, because I feel like at some point that's going to be a sizable portion of the town. But not almost $1 million, not now. Not when we just bought a station for a third of that, and I'm all about investing, and I know it's a different setup, and it's a comprehensive unit, and you can rationalize it, but that's just a stretch for me. So I would love to have a presence out there, but not at that rate and not at that price. So that was my 2 cents, and then I just want to say just thanks. Just to be on this board here, and I know I'm running for election, but some of the gentlemen on this board have a lot of passion and a lot of drive to keep digging and asking questions. And so I really will agree with, I think we all will say it's a good group and that they challenge everybody, and I think it's a good board to have, who challenges and asks questions and wants better for the town. I think we all want better for this town, and I don't think we deserve to be put on the sidelines or put on the wrong end of a stick when we deserve better, because I mean, we're a good town. We have good people who work here, and we take pride in our community, and we deserve to be treated fairly. So that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner?
No comment.
I want to thank the Parks and Rec folks for all the work that they did on Big Truck Day. I was not there. My son got married Saturday, and I had to go to that. And they all teased me, my entire family, because you know I don't miss anything. And it's the first thing I've missed, and I really felt torn about it, I'll be honest. But, you know, when your kid gets married, you kind of have to go. So we elected to go to that, and it was a lovely day. And anyhow, but I heard some wonderful things about it, and I saw and shared all the pictures, and I appreciate the hard work that the Parks and Rec folks do carrying out our task that we task them to have something once a month, and this is one of those things. The next thing, I have a whole stack of reminders at my seat tonight. I want to remind you about the Spring Into the Arts Walk, Artist Reception, and Silent Auction. It's going to be this Thursday from 6:30 to 8 at Wine 101. This is a continuation of the event we had earlier in the year that was rained out partially. So this is wrapping it up and finalizing it. The paintings are just beautiful. I would urge you to go by and see them. That night they're going to be auctioned, and they really are pretty, of places all around town. And so come on out and join us, and maybe you'd like to take one home with you of somewhere in Wendell. Next thing is a reminder for the 4th of July. I think Commissioner Boyd had already mentioned it. That's going to be on July 4th. Starting at 10 a.m. is parade registration down at Perry's Retirement Investment at 124th North Main, just down from us here. The parade starts at 10:30. There's a program that starts at 11 at the town square. There's going to be some children's awards, a tribute to the veterans. The Wake and District Public Safety Pipes and Drums will be there. The Notables, which is a barbershop quartet, will be there, and the winner of the 4th of July essay contest will be there, and free hot dogs. So bring your kids and come out. It's a fun morning. It's always a fun thing. The parade is a children's parade. Children can dress up their bikes, their scooters, they can walk, their strollers. If it's not too hot, you can bring your pet, dress them up, and you get to parade down the street, and there's contests for that. And it's just a really cute, charming thing that we do here. And I urge you to come out. And I think that might be the only last thing I have. So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned.